Hey there, Larry Richardson here. I'd like to take just a minute. Let's take a common sense, logical look at the numbers for the COVID-19 disease. One of the most important numbers that we can try to figure out is what they call a CFR, or case fatality rate. But you can't consider or calculate the case fatality rate until you know what the total fatalities are for the total number of people that had the disease at the end of the episode. You can't get a disease case fatality rate until the disease episode is over. You can calculate a by the moment at this point in the progression of this disease. What is the case fatality rate up to this point? We can calculate that. Now, let's use the country of China, because that is the country or the numbers and statistics that we have the longest run of numbers from. Now, whether or not we can trust the numbers as the Chinese government have fed them to the world, I'm not going to argue that point. I'm just going to say, let's take the numbers they've given us and look at what those numbers are and figure out the case fatality rate as of yesterday, the 4th of March, 2020. Now, as of yesterday, the Chinese said that we've had 80,430 people catch this disease so far. They said we have 52,259 of those have already recovered from it. So that leaves us 28,171 people haven't recovered from the disease. Of those 28,171, 3,013 died. If you take the 28,000 that were left over after you take the recovered out, you take out the 3,013 that died, that means there's 25,158 people in China that still have the disease that we don't know what their outcome is. So we can't put their numbers into a formula to figure out the case fatality rate. And by the way, these numbers add up nice and neatly to each other on the reports that we have from China, and it all balances out. Everything is okay on those numbers. So if you take the 55,272 people, now that's the people that have recovered plus the people that have died. You take the number recovered plus the number that died, take the 55,272 people who have a case conclusion, either recovered or died. You take those 55,272 people, divide them into the number of people that died, and you get your percentage of people that died. You end up with 5.54%. 5.54% of the people that has cases have come to a conclusion in China have died. So that means the case fatality rate as of the 4th of March, 2020, for all those who their cases have come to a conclusion, not for everybody that got the disease, but for those that have come to a conclusion, the case fatality rate was 5.54%. Now, what the case fatality rate is going to be for the 25,158 active cases in China, nobody can tell you that, because we don't know what the numbers are. We don't know how many are going to pull through, and we don't know how many are going to die. Now, they can look at the number of people that are currently in hospital in critical condition and go back and say, okay, well, half of the people that get put in critical condition die, or actually the numbers they crunched on that is 49% of the people that get advanced to the critical stage don't make it. But they can say, okay, that's true. But until you know out of those 25,158 people, how many are going to end up in critical condition, and half of those die, and then how many are going to die before they get to the critical condition? We don't know those numbers. So the closest we can come to any kind of accurate case fatality number is a case fatality number for the specific point in time of yesterday's date we can come up with, the 4th of March, and we can come up for a specific group, those whose cases have concluded. And that case fatality rate comes up at 5.54. Now, let's say that, let's just say theoretically that a lot of people are going to recover from this, and not a whole lot of more people are going to die out of those 25,000 people. And let's say the overall case fatality rate for this disease works out to be 3% instead of the 5.54%. Okay? Now let's compare that. I've heard a lot of people telling the world and telling everybody else that this is it's not even as bad as the flu. Man, so many people, you hear that 30,000 people died from the flu. You hear sometimes 300,000 people died from the flu here in the United States last year, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's a magnitude of 10 between those two differences. And the fact of the matter is that worldwide, 41,000 people on average per year for a 23-year study that was done from 1973 to 2009 worldwide, an average of 41,000 people around the world died from the flu. That's the whole world, not just the United States. And you can Google the influenza case for CFR, and this is one of the first reports that'll come up. And I can't remember the name of the medical group that did it, but it's considered the definitive CFR study on influenza. So average yearly death, the average yearly death, it fluctuates anywhere from about 30,000 to 180,000, depending on what year you're talking about of the flu, what strain of the flu made it or went around that year. But there's a big difference because that case fatality rate they concluded for the influenza on average is 0.1%. Another 1/10 of 1% of the people that catch the flu every year die. That's 1% would be 1 out of 100. So 1 out of every 1,000 people that get the flu around the world are going to die. That's the way the numbers average it out. Now, let's compare that to a 3% case fatality rate, which would be a low CFR for COVID-19, looking at the numbers we have so far. Let's say that 3% case fatality rate compared to a 0.1%, that is a magnitude of, let's figure this out, 30 to 1, 30 to 1, 30 times more people that catch this disease are going to die than the number of people that, if it had equal number of people caught the regular flu, 30 times more are going to die from this disease rather than a regular flu. You can stop trying to tell me that this COVID-19 is not as dangerous as the regular flu even. My brain is able to do math, and I figured it out that is a bunch of bullcrap. So don't even try to tell me that. If I made you mad, I'm not even sorry about making you mad. Sometimes the truth hurts. Have a great day, folks.